it was my pleasure to be able to present Michael with his plaque.
Unlike Tony, I'm going to pull my notes out of my pocket. Thank you to everybody here. Thank you to Patrick. Patrick did a lot of work. I live in Memphis, so he had to chase me via text, phone, email, and we actually met in Birmingham, and I appreciate that. Boy, it feels really good to get back to Marshall County. A lot of great memories and digging through the boxes and boxes of stuff that truckloads of stuff my mother has. And coming back here, I started thinking about some of the great things. Tonight, I've seen some of the coaches that stood on the other side of when Dad was coaching basketball, and that's been really fun to see. And I was trying to tell my wife, Amanda, I said, it's hard to understand one thing about Marshall County, and that's the Marshall County basketball tournament. I said, it hasn't sneezed, I assume it still does, and I read about it, I haven't been there. For us, for my dad being the basketball coach and us living there, it was the biggest week all year. I did my homework and I went to every game. It's hard to explain to people who don't live in Marshall County how big that event is. It's also hard to explain how many Dr. Peppers I can drink in the hospitality room while Dad runs around talking. I tried to, thinking tonight, I try to keep it sports oriented. As I did that and try to separate, I realized that there is no way I can separate sports from who I am, or a story, or a speech, or anything else. Sports is and does define a big part of who we are and who I am. Starting back to running around with Coach Beck's football team's practices, getting in his way, Dad's way, everybody else's way of the thing. Going to basketball camps and football camps. Went to Wimp Sanderson's basketball camp in 3rd grade, and I couldn't do the figure 8. He stood over me until I cried. Going to Alabama games, obviously my whole life you saw there, from I think 1979 until 2000. I bet we went to 80% of the home games if I didn't play them. Watching Laura grow up, be a great basketball player, playing almost every sport. And sports is just who we are and who I am, and I think it's a great thing. Just when you think that's over, I meet my wife, Amanda, who's a soccer player in Alabama, has played soccer her whole life, so it keeps going. Now I have 2 boys, Michael and Matthew, one's 7, one's 6, and we literally go to Memphis Grizzlies games, Alabama games, we go see our friends at Ole Miss, we go to Memphis Tiger games. I want my boys to learn from sports what I learned from sports. I want them to be disciplined. I want them to learn how to win. I want them to learn how to lose. I want them to be accountable. I want them to know how to stand alone, but also be a teammate. I want them to understand the difference in activity and accomplishment. And there's all those things in a list this long board are things that sports has taught me. Growing up, Boaz Sports was my life. I mean, literally from top to bottom, the things I just told you, going to all the games. My mother would keep one particular player for Dad, kept the players' brothers and sisters while his mom worked, while the player came to the gym and played a basketball game for Dad. Now, it didn't help or hurt that a certain player could shoot when he crossed the free throw line. But just the dedication my mom and Dad showed watching that was far beyond sports. Hanging around with, or getting to know people and friends through Coach Beck and Coach Morton, or the families actually, the Becks, the Mortons, and the Ashleys, going to their house after every game. I mean, I learned from sports what friends were, what extended family was, and to this day, just sitting right here today, back there, it means a ton. With staying around Coach Beck's football and Dad's basketball and the things I just told you, I lived Boaz from this tall up to when I left or when I went to college. I mean, when I grew up, I didn't want to be Larry Bird. I I wanted to be Will Burks or Eric Dyer. I mean, I didn't want to be Joe Namath. I want to be Jimmy Collins. And I saw these people who my parents thought the world of. As a coach of football, the person who had the most influence probably as a coach in my life is Joe Nettles, who's sitting right over here. Coach Nettles, I was 15 or 16 years old, looked at me and said, "You can play on Saturdays, boy." At 5:30, 3 days a week, he picked me up at my house and took me to work out before school started because I was determined to play baseball, track, basketball, whatever. And he was the first person that saw that. He's the first person that really took me out of my house, if you will. Even though he's an extended family and great friend, but said, let's pull you out here. Coach Nettles has some great, short but sweet lines that kind of made me realize that I need to not change, but become kind of a man. I've written a couple of them down here. Close that mouth, boy, and open those ears. Michael, I wish I had his accent. Ain't nobody cares who your mom and daddy is. And then my favorite, I'm about to put my little foot in your big butt if you don't do it like I know you can. I had a great start, Coach Nettles and Boaz. Now, you saw some of the things from here that were awesome to see again. Got Tuscaloosa and really made me just change and grow up. And although I had a great family growing up and a great coach, great situation, nothing can prepare me for Tuscaloosa. Nothing can prepare me for Alabama. It makes you grow up so fast. When I got my physical, on the physical was handwritten, overweight and out of shape. I was like, man, this is going to be rough. The third day in pads, Mike Dubose, I got blocked about 3 yards backwards on my back. And Mike Dubose came to me. He said, "Son, you better go back to Boaz and work on an overhaul because you can't play football here." And I was like, oh man, that's rough. I was 4 days out of my house. I lived with 84 people I did not know. I had a roommate I did not know. And looking back, it's one of the greatest things in life I could have ever learned. Here you are, do it. I try to use the things from all my coaches through my life. Another one of those stories kind of like that one that changed me was Coach Stallings one time. I'd fallen on the ground, hurt my knee, walked up, he said, "Michael, are you hurt or injured?" I said, "Got my knee, sir." He said, "Are you hurt or injured? If you're hurt, get back in the huddle. If you're injured, we'll get a doctor out here." Now, that is awesome. I mean, that just packs so much into it. So many things in life you can learn from being, or I've learned from being a husband and a father and a Christian. I mean, he goes on and a son, and on and on and on. 95% of the time, get back in the huddle. And I think that it means a ton. I wish Pastor could give me 5 minutes. I'd tell Coach Stallings stories all night long. But the rest of the time in Alabama, I had great, awesome coaches. These were great people that I learned a lot from. My GA, funny story now, this year, my GA was Dabo Swinney when I was a defensive line scout team player. Then I played for Mike Dubose on the defensive line. Then Jimmy Ford, Coach Callaway, Bruce Arians, who's now the head coach at the Phoenix Cardinals, and obviously Coach Stallings. In closing, they say it takes a village to raise a child, and Amanda and I are learning that slowly as we go. I want to first thank my mom and dad. Never missed anything I did. They devoted their life to raising my sister and me. That was bad grammar, Mom. Anyway. Thanks to Shannon Aaron, sitting right here. My uncle Shannon Aaron, aunt and uncle. We went to tailgates from when I was in first grade. All those games I was telling you about. They taught me that family and sports can all be one. Thanks to my aunt and uncles, Tanya, Tim, Ivan, Patty, sitting right here. They went to every game, still do. And I can't tell you how many people have come up to me after the game and said, "Michael, you don't know me, but I'm from Anderson or Cedartown, and I know your aunt and uncle, and they just adore you. Thanks to the Becks, the Ashers, Mortons, all the other families that we went to the fifth quarter at and had so many memories and so much fun. Thanks to Coach Nettles for his little foot. Thank you to Amanda for putting up with me when sports goes a little too far. And thank you to Marshall County and Boaz for being my village.